Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage, and today is one of my favorite things to do. Unpack a bunch of stuff I got on a little adventure far away from home where I put all the stuff on a pallet and ship it back. This trip is especially fun because I did such a short trip. It was like, I think a little under 48 hours or something like that. I really don't remember fully what I bought. I mean, it was just kind of a blur as we were gathering stuff up and throwing it in boxes and throwing it on the truck, and then Trevor and his crew at the Allsup store for Eastwood were nice enough to throw it in boxes and pack it really nicely. I got the stuff off the truck, off the pallet, off the truck, and just sitting here in the shop. And I'm going to go through the stuff and kind of show you what my thought process with some of that is, what I paid for some of it, and what some of it is. So let's dig in and get started. All right, so first thing up front here is these two 35 Ford wire, 16-inch wire wheels. I got these wheels. I actually got a set of 4. The other 2 are in one of these other boxes in here somewhere that I didn't get to yet. But basically, these 2 had Harley tires on them, which I thought was kind of odd when we were buying them. And I think I paid like 150 bucks, 160 bucks for the set of these. I generally sell these for anywhere from $250 to $400 and sometimes up depending on the condition. These ones are decent. I already have a buyer in mind when I was buying these. I have a gentleman from Germany that's been buying some stuff from me and putting a pallet together, so I will cut him a deal on that where I'll make a little bit of money. He'll get a decent deal, and that's kind of why I bought these, because I had somebody in mind. The Harley tires, after thinking about it, is I think these were on the back on a Survey car for an early Harley Davidson. These are the tires they were using. I know the early Survey cars actually used Ford wheels and Ford bolt pattern on the back for the axles, so that's probably why they had these on. Everybody that was into early Harleys was shouting at the screen when I was going through the scrap pile because I missed a very valuable item that I didn't know. I'm always learning. That's what we always talk about in these videos. And I missed a tow bar for a Survey car that I didn't know that was in the scrap pile that is apparently worth quite a bit of money, and I messed up and didn't get it and gave it to the scrap guy that I sold the rest of the stuff to. So my mess up, but hey, we won't speak about that. The pain is already done. So anyways, got these 2 wheels here. I'm gonna have to take these tires off just to save some weight on the pallet. So we'll get those out of the way. Those were in good shape. The heads here, the heads that we got, I ran the numbers and they are like, I think 53 to 55 Chrysler Hemi heads, 331. So I actually have a 331 block that was left over where I got with the blown 354. So probably what I'll do is actually put these heads with that block, and we'll have a more complete engine to sell to someone. Now I have a set of heads and the block. It gives somebody a jump start. I really don't have a lot of money into this stuff, so I can kind of sell that to somebody else that's looking to build a 331. So get these out of the way. Oh God. All right, so next batch of stuff here. Oh, okay. So I found a set of 46, 48 Ford spindles that were in, what do you think, buddy? That were in the scrap pile. So that scrap pile treated me pretty well, even though I missed that item. These spindles are always good. I think I paid like 60 bucks maybe for the pile of scrap. And these spindles, for instance, I get like 125 for them usually. So these are good clean ones. They look like they were blasted and then just never painted. So good clean ones. If the bushings are good, definitely something somebody can put right to use. They're always easy. And I call this my bread and butter stuff that I'm always selling to hot rod guys. Then in here, shifter side for that Lincoln transmission. Got a couple of shifter sides. I don't know why I grabbed both of these, but we have them. So here is, I believe, a 46 to 48. I got to run the numbers. Side shift or column shift Lincoln transmission. So this is going to have the good gears in it that will transfer over into a 39 Ford style shifter case. So these had a better first, second gear setup in them, and also were a little bit stronger apparently, but the gear set in general is just a better gear ratio than the stock 39 box. So I will probably pull the guts out of this thing, keep the gears for future project, and then get rid of the rest, because the case is really nothing special other than the VIN on it. All right, next box here. It's like Christmas time for me, except I bought all the gifts. All right, more randomness. All right, this is something out of my scrap pile. This is an aluminum timing cover for an APA or a Mercury flathead. The aluminum ones are always nice, guys like them obviously, because you can polish them up, and they prefer them over the iron ones. So that was out of my scrap pile, kind of a normal inventory thing that I just keep in stock, and when somebody needs one, they send an email and we have it ready to go. I got this old, I guess it's probably, I don't know if it's for a machine or what it was for, but it's a little waffle pedal. Just stupid stuff you take to a swap meet and pass on. This again was in my scrap pile, so it didn't cost me anything. I wouldn't pay any real money for it, but you know, it's something stupid you could sit on your table and a guy could use it to build a hot rod or a rat rod or something. But again, this has a hydraulic hose to it. It was probably set up for some kind of machinery or something like that. Oh, this is cool. So I found this again in the scrap pile. This I'm not sure, I might hold on to this. It's kind of cool, but it's a little e-brake handle that is just a neat chrome handle with I like the way the button is on it. So this would be good to modify and use in some kind of hot rod. Has a number on the side. I'm not sure what it's for. I probably should look it up ahead of time to make sure it's not some super rare part that I didn't realize and like go and cut it up or whatever. But I thought this was pretty cool and would work very well for a handbrake on some kind of hot rod when you're doing a custom setup. But it works pretty well, so you just need a little ratchet section to hook it to. Just random stuff for whatnot. I don't even know what this is. Now, oh yeah, I found this on my pile of like distributor stuff. This says 1924 V8 Wills. I don't know if it's Willys or if it's Wills St. Clair. So I don't know if that's some kind of like really rare. I didn't even look this up yet, so somebody will probably correct me what it is. But I guess this is like a water neck, and then also maybe some spark plug wire tubes. But if anybody knows anything about that type of car, let me know. I'm gonna have to look it up. But 1921 V8 Wills, I think is what it says, St. Clair. And they had 125 bucks on this. But unfortunately this little neck got damaged, but may still be usable. It's gotta be something that's pretty rare. So I didn't want to see it go to scrap, so I figured I'd give it a try and see what it is. Let's see. And then we got our heavy rocker assemblies. These guys really pack this stuff well. So these are our rocker assemblies for the Chrysler engine heads, for the Hemi heads. So we'll put these over with the heads and put them with the block. And I know a couple things I'm missing that were more interesting that we haven't found yet. Still into that cheap scrap pile stuff. Okay, now we're getting into cool. It's all cool, but these are cool. So these are Zephyr. They're Zephyr taillight lens covers. So I found these in I bought like a shelf lot that just had a bunch of random junk on it, but you guys saw when we were shooting that video and I was kind of walking through, just picking through stuff during the preview of the auction. I pulled a bin out and our box, and these were in it. And the shelf didn't really have a lot of other car parts in it, but it had this one bin or Tupperware bin or box, whatever, with some stuff in it. And I dug around and identified that there was 2 Zephyr taillight lenses, stainless trim, and these are very hard to find. And when you can put them together with a set of lenses, you have something that's really cool and stands out more than just a set of 39 taillight lenses. So what I need to do, and it's been bugging me, and I'm gonna pick you guys up and we're gonna take a walk, so I wanna see if these things fit 39 Ford taillight lenses. I'm sure the people that really know are gonna scream at the camera and say, duh, no crap, it doesn't fit. But But I always wondered that, and I've never had a set of these. I think they look bigger. Oh yeah, I'm looking at it already. So, of course, I got the common 39s sitting around. Way too small. Oh yeah, nowhere even close. So in that box, it looked like there was some like broken lenses. So apparently I'm on the hunt for some Zephyr taillight lenses. I think these would be really cool. I think they're 38, 39, just like the 39 Fords. So I'm gonna keep these on my pile, try and find a set of lenses. If anybody out there in YouTube land has a set of lenses they want to sell me, or do some horse trading, I'd love to have a set of these because I want to put them on some kind of car. I was actually already thinking about, yeah, we're going to take a walk. Going on road trips today. Road trips around the shop. All right, so newspaper coupe. I was thinking something like this. I don't know yet. Don't yell at me. We're thinking this through as we're talking, but you know, the guys would do the 39 taillights like this back in the Dry Lakes days. You would see it quite often. Could be kind of cool to run a set of these on the back of this 34. So anyways, I've always wanted a set of these, so I'm gonna put these on the shelf and, oops, sorry, I'll put these on the shelf and keep digging through. But yes, if you have a set of these lenses for these Zephyrs, let me know. I'd be interested. I'd love to horse trade or buy a set off of you for a reasonable price. All right, so we dig a little further. This is a goodie box. So this was early store Warner Crescent needle, smooth bezel, gauge, oil pressure gauge. This is like a military style one because it's got the green paint. It's not chrome, but these are really hard to find. This gauge is like really mint. Pulled this out of a box lot, and you know, obviously I had to, they were doing box lots in choice, and there was all kinds of randomness in the box lots. Sometimes that's great. If you love to gamble, you sometimes could sit back and hope that no one else saw the one thing that you saw and try and get it for cheap. I was afraid with a bunch of hot rods guys standing around that I was going to miss out on this. I could use this gauge for some gauges I'm trying to put together. So I pulled it out of the bin, held it up in the air and said, you know, I'd like to bid on this. And the auctioneer let me bid on it. I think I ended up paying like 70 bucks or something like that, which still isn't a horrible deal for these. So this one's in like perfect condition. I almost want to say new old stock, but I don't think it is, but it's really nice. Early store Warner logo on it. Again, these early crescent needle gauges with the curved glass is kind of like what everybody's going for and looking for, so I always grab these. So I figured with some of the other stuff I bought and was going to resell, that even though I paid like 70 bucks or whatever for this, it was still going to be worth it. So I stepped up for this. I didn't really get a great deal on it, but still I think there's a little money left in it if I did need to sell it, but it's going to go on the shelf for now. So let's see what else is in here. Man, these guys freaking killed it. I wouldn't even wrap this. Oh yeah, this is cool. So this was they had two auctioneers going at once, and in the other room was like signs and license plates, and there wasn't a lot of parts, but this gauge panel I ran back because I had my eye on it. Really neat 3-gauge panel that would bolt like behind a dash or something like that. And it's an aluminum piece that is fabricated, but what I really liked was the name that was on it that's stamped in it. W. Sant'Angelo, which is really, really cool. I think this is a, something clicked in my head that was like a hot rodder that was building parts or making parts in the early days, but I might be wrong. But either way, it's chromed, it's fabricated, but it's chromed. It's got a nice old crusty look to it, so this would be really great under a dash. So this is stuff like this that's unusual. I grab it, and like I said, I want to look into that name. So if anybody knows that, you know, definitely drop me a line in the comments. I haven't fully researched it yet, but it'd be cool to know who it was that made it, if there's any, you know, hot rod royalty that was attached to this, which would be really cool. But all it has is I guess the guy's name, maybe who it was for or something, Bill Bierman. So that's going on the keep shelf for now until I learn some more about it. I think this was in the scrap pile. This is just Ford carburetor, like a 94. So these I just usually throw on intakes when I sell flathead intakes and stuff. They're good cores for somebody to build. I usually hold on to the Strombergs, but that's a good core. So that will go on the sell pile. Found this in the scrap pile. This is a large 97 body. So this was in the scrap pile. It actually looks pretty good, except somebody had done some epoxy stuff here. So we need to clean it up and see if it's usable. But other than that, it doesn't look too bad. Yeah, so 97 parts are good, whether you use them for display on an intake or you actually use them for parts when you're rebuilding them. Any 97 stuff is always like hot rod currency. So let's see, I bought these, and I can't remember what I paid. I didn't steal these, but I bought a set of 3 97 Strombergs that were in really great shape that I think were probably on the Lincoln V12 intake that was there or something like that. But these are big logo 97s. I think I might have paid $200 or $250 for the set of 3. Now, if you guys are trying to justify buying some of this stuff and you're at an auction, kind of the going rate for big logo 97s or really any 97s is about $100 a piece for a core. That is a usable core that looks in decent shape. These were in really good shape and look like they came off a running car. So they, I think, definitely were worth $100 a piece. But then what the home run was is these had the early frogmouth scoops on them that have the little HJ that's stamped inside there. So there's not a lot of history that I know exactly what the HJ was for. It might have just been the casting company. But these are generally a quick, easy way to tell if you want to look for early original frogmouth scoops that aren't like the Speedway repops. You can definitely feel the difference when you look at them, but if they have that HJ in it, that's an early set that, you know, is an original set. So I saw that on there. To me, those scoops were probably worth $100, $150 or maybe more for those scoops. So you figure 100 carburetor and let's say $100 for the scoops. We're at $400 and I paid $2 something, so I paid less than retail. And these carburetors, I'm always looking for sets. I always need sets, and when you go to build a vintage setup, you're probably gonna have to take you're gonna have to take like 2 sets of carburetors to make one good one set if you don't start with a really nice set like this. So whenever I see a nice set that looks like it wouldn't be hard to put back together, I grab them. So these are in decent shape. Overall, they weren't all stuck and pitted or anything like that. This one's actually a Zephyr. See the LZ on it? So that one's a little bit different. This one was probably running in the middle, but again, these scoops are really good for me. So this is some stuff off the scrap pile. It's an iron 3-bolt timing cover. I actually couldn't find any of these in my stash, and I wanted to bolt one onto the block we mocked up with the yarding because I want to kind of mock up the magneto I'm going to run. So not really worth a lot, but something that is neat. So these were cool. I think I paid, I don't remember what I paid for that. I might have paid $70. I'll have to look at what my list to see what I paid for these. So these are early friction shocks, and you will see, you know, the ones that are on Speedway and stuff that are very cheap, but these are original Hartford friction shocks that you would see on the early race cars. So these are really cool. If you're really into the early period look, these are it. These are the early shocks that guys would run, and these little friction shocks have these little, like, almost like rubber, I guess you could say, pads in them, and as you tighten it down, you know, that creates the friction, and that is what, you know, makes the shock work. So it's not like a modern shock. Cool thing is this one has a little pointer on it, so you can actually point to the numbers that are written on it, and you can kind of faintly see the shock absorber on the back portion here. So this is early stuff. These are really cool. They are hard to find. They can go for big money for these shocks because they are original Hartfords. I have never found a set like in the wild like that, so I kind of just wanted to own them. I may resell them, not sure. I'm going to clean them up and kind of stare at them and decide. These would be pretty cool to put on something like that, my 34-3 window that's kind of going for that early kind of Dry Lakes era type hot rod, so these might be appropriate. Since these were a racing item that was from like the 20s or 30s, somebody might have taken these and put them on the car because it was lighter weight. So I don't know yet, but really neat to find. And we will put them on the pile and I'll see if I fall in love with them. So some cool stuff that I got, and I'm actually going to do a little giveaway on the channel to anybody that comments and lets me know your favorite thing that you saw in this video that I scored. You can drop a comment down below. We're going to pick a winner randomly, but I got a bunch of these original Ford pistons in the box. I'm going to keep one or two for myself, but I'm going to give away one or two. Some of them don't have tops on them, so obviously I'm selfish. I'm going to keep probably these two that have tops for myself, and then I'm going to give away the rest, at least one or two of them, if not all of them. We'll see what the response is. But I got these ones that have these neat old boxes, so we're going to do a little giveaway. So drop a line in the comment of what your favorite item we got was in this video, and we're going to pick one random winner and contact them and say you won. So have your notifications turned on, and I will ship you some IronTrap stickers and a cool little shelf item that's an original Ford flathead piston in the box, which I think is really cool, and I'm psyched on them. So they kind of came free with something I bought. I don't remember, but so I got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll at least do 2 or 3, if not all 4. So make sure you're watching. Some of the box is a little more ratty, but definitely cool items. I got this one that is, this is rings. 81A. They're 40 oversized rings, but these are original flathead rings, which is pretty cool. So I'm gonna put these on the shelf. They're a neat item. Could possibly use them someday, but usually I go a little more than 40 over when I do this, when I get engines built. This is another item that's super cool that I don't know what it is. So if you guys remember the craziest estate auction ever, I might have mentioned in there a little bit, but this is a chassis research tail shaft section. So I had one that was on an early Chevy 3-speed transmission that was converted into a drag transmission and had reverse and first gear taken out, and it had just second and third gear, and it had the tail shaft cut off, and it had one of these style chassis research tail shaft sections or bearing carriers on the back. What this does is allows you to use the flathead V8 style transmission mounts, and it has the bolts to mount the ball and socket cup stuff to run on a torque tube. So this is probably for the back of some sort of other brand transmission. There's very little information I've found. If anybody has an old chassis research catalog, I'd love to have a copy or purchase it off of someone. But this one is for some sort of transmission. It would fit in the back here. Has the bearing that obviously needs some be taken apart and re-greased. But this allows you to cut that down a transmission that was probably a lot stronger than a Ford, and you could put that behind in a Ford with a torque tube. So it was a way to do that. So a neat little part, cool little hot rod thing that's just an oddity that isn't worth a ton of money, but is really obscure, and I'd like to figure out what it is just for the fun of it, to educate myself. But here's what it looks like. And on the back side, it's got this little section that fits in. So I need to look into what this is for. I'm not sure, but it's super cool. It does have an 808 number on it, so that's the part number. If I could find a catalog, that would be it. So super cool item. Found that in the scrap pile. Again, find neat stuff in the scrap pile. And got I think this is 35-36 taillight stand. So got that in the scrap pile as well. So that's always a good item. It's actually in really good shape, so I'll sell that on for sure. Got some weight to it. Starting to can't quite remember. I know what's in this big box under here, but not quite sure what all this is. Man, oh geez. All right, I think this is all the Lincoln Zephyr distributors. These guys went crazy on boxing everything all nice. All right, so yeah, these are a bunch of spark plug wire covers. So I bought that shelf full of Lincoln Zephyr distributors that were all in pieces. So earlier in the day, a single Lincoln Zephyr distributor went for like 150, 200 bucks that somebody bought. And then I knew there was a shelf, so I didn't really go nuts on that one. And I bought a whole shelf of them. So they look, so for instance, when you take this one apart here. So when you look at these, just as a distributor, if you guys go to frequent swap meets or, you know, farm auctions or different stuff like that, you will see these early style flathead distributors everywhere. Common mistake is to buy these and think they're worth anything. When they are flathead V8, when they are flathead V12, Lincoln Zephyr, they're actually worth something. The V8 ones are almost worthless. They're everywhere. I put them in my like $1 and $5 bin at swap meets because I somehow end up with like hundreds of them and I just almost give them away. They do work well, they're just not as desirable, and they don't really make a Petronix kit form or anything, so they're just not as popular. But the easiest way you can tell, the body's a little bit bigger, but when you look inside, there is a double rotor set up in there, and that's how you can tell the difference that this is a Zephyr distributor. So also the other thing is these coils are made for that. They have the double contacts there, and these are specific to this distributor. So even when you see this style coil, they are good if you can get them for very cheap. Obviously it's hard to test them when you're somewhere, but they are good to get because they do have some resale value. The Lincoln Zephyr guys obviously buy them for restorations. Those cars are higher value when they're done, so of course the parts go for more money. The other thing is, this was a hot setup to do a conversion to run on a flathead V8 back in the day. There were some guys that were actually doing this conversion to run like a dual coil setup, kind of like a Harman Collins type deal. That was really a trick setup, and because it has the 3-bolt pattern, it will bolt right up to a flathead with the correct timing cover. So this was a hot thing that people were doing back in the early days of hot rodding for flathead V8s. I think there was a couple of guys that are still doing the conversions. I forget the guy's name, but I stumbled across the guy on Instagram that was doing them still pretty regularly, and I think he had the system down. And it's a really neat period thing to do, but either way, these are worth more money. So if you guys are out hunting in the wild and you see them with the dual, the dual area on the rotor, you know that that's a V12 Lincoln Zephyr, and it's worth a little more money than the almost worthless flathead V8 early ones. So I got a whole box of these here. I'm not going to unbox every one, but I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's 6 in here, 5 or 6. So I will clean them up, put the best ones together, and sell them probably on eBay. And these will help. I think on that whole shelf, I might have only paid $5 or something for that whole shelf, maybe 10, but I think it was $5 opening bid. I bought the whole rack, and these were on it. So if I sell these for an average of $100 a piece, that will more than pay for some of the other stuff that I bought to keep. So it'll even out and basically pay for my part of my trip and some of my stuff. I looked at all the auction photos, and I always study them when I go to an auction that's really big or is far away, and I look in the background, look in the corners of the photos, all that stuff, and you could tell in the photos there was a big box full of hubcaps and old knockoffs for some high-end cars. There was like, I want to say there was Rolls-Royce stuff, there was Auburn stuff, and what was important is I saw Auburn. There was some early Auburn like knockoffs in there that looked like they were from like a 33 to 36 Auburn, and like, man, with the guy having Zephyrs, Auburns, there might be some Auburn Speedster stuff in there. And you guys may remember in the video from the Hemi that I scored, I also scored a Speedster 32, I think a 3233 Auburn dashboard, and I would love to find the dash panel to match it. And so I was like, man, maybe there'll be one there. Well, there wasn't, but what was there that I didn't see in the photos was an original Auburn windshield, boat style windshield. So I stepped up for it, but I still think I did all right on it. I can't remember what I paid. I want to $500, $600, maybe $700. I kind of forgot. It went a little blurry. I just kept my hand in the air the whole time. I was like, yep. And there's some GoPro footage probably of me bidding on this stuff that we didn't use in the video. But here's the center section for it. So it's the cast aluminum. This isn't a poorly fitting repop Speedway windshield frame. This is the real deal shit. This is the stuff that is worth the money. If you guys have ever tried to fit one of those poorly made ones, you might as well just start with a raw piece of aluminum, because nothing even fits. You got to cut and weld and do all kinds of stuff. So it's nice to have something that's the real thing. It's nice and heavy, old chrome on it. So this is the center section. Going off on a tangent here, sorry. And what was cool is there was like pieces of the windshield with it. So I don't know if it's Auburn. It could have been maybe really early boat. A lot of these early cars shared the boats, the Duval and Halleck windshields. They were all kind of like custom made for the vehicle. So I believe this one might have originally been off in Auburn. But either way, it's an early original Speedster windshield. And here's one of the pieces here. Here's the center section. So, you guys may or may not remember, on the Sweetheart Roadster, I cut off the original windshield stanchions and said I was going to do some kind of like molded kind of boat windshield or Duval windshield or something like that. And I truly believe that these cars build themselves. So you're out there hunting for parts, the stuff will just fall into your lap. So this windshield frame just fell into my lap and I bought it, and obviously it cost a little bit of money, but I would rather have an original piece like this that I modify the car to fit and just know that everything's vintage on the car. I appreciate that. I love that. That's part of the story of building these cars. So I got the whole windshield. It's still got some sheet metal attached to it. You could tell this is old, man. This stuff's old. Look at the square bolt heads in there. So this isn't some poorly made Chinese repop. Nothing wrong with that stuff. Nothing against anyone that has one. I have one sitting around. There's a reason it isn't on the car. So anyways, here's the other half. And I am really psyched, super psyched to have this. Even if I have to have it re-chromed, it's cool to have an old original piece like this, but who knows, maybe the chrome will clean up that nice that I can run it on the car and it'll all jive. Kind of like I did with the Free T, where it's shiny, but there's some old chrome and some, you know, old parts that shined up and looked right. So that is my last item. Super psyched to get this. I'm gonna try and test fit this on in a future video on the Sweetheart Roadster, see how it fits. If not, I bought this at a price that I think I could sell it and either make a couple bucks or sell it and make my money back. I think I can make a few bucks if I do sell it, but I wouldn't know if it would fit the car and I'd like it unless I bought it and test fit it. You just don't know. Photoshopping it can only go so far. So I'm glad to have this. So that's it for my long-winded box pallet opening adventure from Illinois. Again, want to thank Trevor and the guys at the Eastwood Allsup store. They helped me out big time with packing some items and sending them back out for me. And it was a great time. I enjoy visiting those guys. So definitely, if you're local to that area, support the store. Go out there, say hello to those guys, pick something up at the store. It helps them, it helps me, and it'll also help you with the products that you get and the new friends you will make. So thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. Catch you later.